This is the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast, with Kreese, Mino, and Mark, bringing you all your DFFOO news and talk. Welcome to Season 3, the Chaos Era. Now let's start the show.
Welcome everybody to this episode 102 of the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast. I'm Mark, and I am so glad that you are all with us tonight to talk about this game that we love and to just enjoy our time together. So thank you for being here with us on Twitch every Thursday night on Twitch at 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time. We get together and share this wonderful, wonderful podcast and talk about this game that we love. We are joined by myself, Mark, and two co-hosts, and you know them and love them, and they are Mino Spellgood. Mino, how are you doing?
Not so good, Mark. Could be better. The delivery man today told me he can start smelling me through the mask now.
You should start showering again.
Why? I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, wow. So
because you're getting comments like that?
Yeah, well, I'm tipping him, so we better put up with it.
That other voice you hear is our good friend Kreese. Kreese, how are you doing?
Tired, but otherwise okay, I guess.
Yeah, well, we're all here again, and we're glad Mino can be here. He's been working extra hard and extra long during this time, but we're glad to all be back together for episode 102. So let's start the show. We have a little bit of news. I want to thank Arolai because of Mino's work schedule. We never know if he is going to be able to be done with his work because he keeps getting extra work. So Arrow was willing to stand in case that was not the case. So thank Arrow for her willingness to be here. There is an extended, I believe we had that 3 times item support sale, but there is an extended support sale. So that will continue to go on. So if you were running out of books and you were afraid that you were not going to be able to get extra books for summon board grinding, you can still get those extra 3 times support books. Remember, they're all 15 minutes now, but you can get the sale ones. You buy 5, you get basically 20% off. Personally, we talked a little bit about this this week on Discord, but for me, I think everybody knows I buy all the books. So I'm sitting around 90 to 100 books at any given time. Oh, how do you guys approach books? Do you use them? You don't use them? I know for a while, Mino, you were using only 2 times books. I use exclusively 3 times books. So, Mino, what's your book investment like these days?
I'm pretty sure I'm going to run out at some point before summon boards are over. I think I just have a collection of times 3 artifacts left, about 30 of those, hoping that'll get me through Diablos. And then, I don't know, I'm going to run dry at some point. But for now, I refuse to spend gems on the books. I think the sale's not even that big a deal. You get like 1 free tome. If you
can't normally buy 3x item books, I believe, or 3x books. That's the
really?
issue.
Oh, I thought the only thing with the sale was the 5-pack. But I'm sure, by the time the next summon board... I'm only using these when summon boards come around. So I'm sure I can buy them if I need them. But I don't know. I'll play it by ear and see what happens. I'm definitely running low. All I have are artifacts left. No more books of any kind. Just running on the 15-minute and 30-minute all-knowledge artifacts.
Kreese, what is your book strategy?
I like to keep a nice stash of the 3x experience books on hand, and I use those for my summon board grinding. I enjoy my time too much to not use the 3x experience books while grinding summon boards, just because it takes so long, and the 3X books speed it up so much that it's just such a huge boon. So what I typically do is, I think right now I'm sitting around 48 of the 15-minute books and about 6 or 7 of the 30-minute triple experience books still in my inventory. I'm using the 15-minute one since I can replenish those. I'll see where I am once I'm done with summon board grinding and maybe refresh my stash for the next couple months, because I usually use them when I grind treasures for new characters and the like.
Yeah, I never use the experience books outside of summon board, so I always buy up experience, 3 times experience books for the summon boards because I do value my time. And I use the 2 times item books for artifact grinding and co-op grinding, token grinding, basically. Not always, but depends. I'll throw a 15-minute book here and there, especially the 15-minute books I'm much more likely to use than the 30-minute books, since you can do 3 co-ops or 5 co-ops in 15 minutes usually without much of a problem. But yeah, if I'm grinding artifact tokens during a special event too, like we just had the double World of Illusion items, it's definitely nice to have those. So yeah. All right. Well, I encourage you all, however you want to play. It's your game. Enjoy it. But I certainly think those are a good investment of gems to pick up some of those tokens, those support items. We are still in the midst of the Faire campaign, so you need to do that May Be Gigantic co-op. This May Be Gigantic co-op, the Gigantor. Every day you need to do that once to get your 2 tokens. It's 2 tokens a day, correct?
It is 2 tokens for 1 co-op run.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can only get 2 tokens a day, but you need to do that. I think right now we're at even 34, 32. I'm at 32 tokens. You need 40 tokens to get all of the weapon ingots or weapon nuggets to create 1 ingot. So you do want to pick them up every day, and you're not going to be, we reminded people last week, you're not going to be able to get everything in the shop. In fact, you're only going to be able to get a few things, especially if you get some of those bigger items. We did talk about really what's the best thing. Personally, I think the nuggets are best. Mina, what was your opinion on that? You have any takes on that? What were you going to buy from the token exchange?
I don't know. Is it confirmed that it's 66 tokens? Because I think we're just extrapolating that based on how many days the event's running, right? Are we sure that there's not going to be any surprise boost to it, like a gift or something? Because the old seasonal events had extra tokens given out, right?
I think we're done with everything else associated with the Faire campaign, and nothing else has popped up. So it's seeming safe to say right now that we're only getting the number of tokens we get on a per day basis, the 2 tokens per day.
Dreamy's.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Dreamy's saying in chat that it kind of adds up right now, assuming there's no surprises, that you could get all the red nuggets and all of the tickets. So those are probably the priority too.
I mean, if it is 66, I haven't done a hard math on it, but I'm just getting all the red nuggies and maybe the power stones. I value power stones a lot. Better than tickets, because tickets aren't guaranteed power stones. But I know I'm the odd man out. I know not a lot of people like power.
20 tickets, 20 burst weapons.
Is it a 1-to-1 ratio for the tickets?
Yeah,
for Mark it is.
Yeah, it is. It is 1 token per ticket, up to 20 tickets. Yep, in the shop. Yeah. All right. Well, make sure you're doing that once a day. It doesn't take very long. I don't even do a co-op. I just run it solo. I run it as a co-op, but I run it solo with your fast delay cheese team, and it takes just 30 seconds, 1 minute. All right. Well,
if you're doing it solo, you do have to spend a bell. If you are able to guest into another room, you can avoid spending the bell.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I do too.
If you don't want to spend the bell, you definitely need to do the co-op, and that's fine. It just takes a little bit longer.
Hold on here. See, Williams is saying the Mayfair seemed a bit underwhelming. I disagree. Those 4 banners, 12 free pulls, a lot of people got at least an EX or 2 that they didn't have. Or a great amount of that's 12 power stones guaranteed.
At least 12 power stones. Yeah. What did you guys? Well, while we're talking about those 12 free banners that we got, did you guys end up with anything?
I got a bunch of EXs I'm not realizing because of the ingot shortage.
Yeah. Nice. I ended up with Golbez EX, which I've gone after every time it's been out and never gotten, and randomly got it. Yeah. So
I got him in Echo, I think.
But I'm glad to have it.
I got a couple of new EXs, but to be fair, I already had most of the EXs from these banners, so I kind of got lucky in that I got one or two of the few EXs I was missing. I think I got Yuffie EX, and I don't remember the other one I got, but Cryo EX. I got a copy of that from one of the free draws. They're sitting there, not even like power stoned or anything. They're sitting at the limit breaks that I was able to get them to just on resources from the free pulls at the moment.
All right, well, that brings us to the event that we introduced last week. We didn't get a chance to finish talking about, and that was Caius's event, Keeper of the Farseer. And we did not get to talk about the Chaos fight. So, Kreese, did you want to walk us? Did we even introduce the Chaos fight?
I don't think we had enough information to even introduce the fight. Do you want me to quickly go through it?
That would be great. Yep, please.
Okay, so it's a 2-phase fight with you fighting one Rafflesia in the first wave, and then 2 new bosses called Metal Drums in the second wave. Notable things to keep in mind: first wave Rafflesia, it has resistance to most elements, it absorbs earth and is weak to wind. In the second wave, the Metal Drums have high resistance to range and are weak to wind, and also are immune to sap and poison. The first wave is basically just it wastes your time by applying different debuffs, doing brave attacks, and just having a nice chunky health pool. The most annoying debuff it can apply is Venom, which causes HP damage per turn. It's active, which is obnoxious, but otherwise it isn't too much of a threat. It basically forces you to have to think about its elemental resistances and waste time on it. That's about it. And also possibly take some HP damage going into the second wave. Second wave is a lot more tricky to deal with because the Metal Drums have a mechanic where they will put a barrier on themselves. On the lower difficulties, this is, I think, a buff effect, so you can dispel it. On Chaos, it becomes a passive effect, so you can no longer dispel it. It's Brave Barrier, which is basically exactly the way it works for Zack. They nullify Brave damage unless they take a certain amount of Brave damage, but in the Chaos fight, it's more than 9,999, so you can't break them through normal means, which means you have to break them through something which forces a break. For example, Lann and Reynn's EX ability, or through Caius's special Doom debuff. That's about the only ways that I'm aware of that you can forcibly break them, which means that they can get a lot of Brave in the turns between them putting that Brave barrier up and it wearing off. It only lasts a couple turns, but it can be obnoxious. Other things they do is that they apply a unique buff to themselves that applies an attack down aura, and they inflict an attack down buff. Upsides is you never have to worry about both of them having the Brave barrier up at once. Only one will have it at a time. But they're pretty tanky and obnoxious to deal with. They're also decently fast, and they have high turn rate abilities, so you have to be careful and make sure that you bring at least 1 or 2 characters that are fast enough to keep up with the damage they're doing. And other than that, it's just a big tanky fight. I don't think there's anything else worth mentioning. They just have a variety of attacks, so you can't shut them out with a specific type of tank, although characters like Zack and Galuf still work decently well. Mino, did I miss anything, or do you think I hit all the key points there?
I wonder why they kept all the attack names in Japanese this time around. I wonder what the decision making behind that was. That really confused me. What are your thoughts?
I'm not sure. It might just be for flavor they decided to keep them in that. I don't even know what the ability names even mean for the most part, but it just seemed like some sort of flavor thing that they decided to put them that way.
It's an odd decision. I just kept thinking to myself. But yeah, that's all I got to add.
Yeah, I wanted to be like my heroes Vayne Novus and Belial, and so I brought Y'shtola. I brought Ultimecia, Vayne, and Hope with Pandemonium Summon, and I did not get their 37 turns because I am not as good as them. So, but I did get it in like 40 turns. So, yeah, that was the way to do that. What did you guys bring before we talk about the TCC challenge?
I knew gravity was going to be a big deal, so I brought ulti, and then I brought Penelo and Hope just to pump her full of regens to see what she could do. And I think, like many people said, it's just amazing how long this character is held up. Like, it's ridiculous that you can still take her to Chaos's. How many months has it been? It's like it's like 7 months or something. Wow, ulti was such a great character.
I brought a team of Penelo, Caius, and Vayne myself. I brought Caius because it's his event, and I'm going to use him, God damn it, because I did build him up. I have a purple Caius. So I brought him, Penelo to be my healer, and Vayne seemed like a good fit by providing a little bit more of auras, some abilities to get some free turns in there to keep turn count down, and avoid most of their resistances.
Ultimecia was the end of November. So, yeah, 6 months.
It's such a good kit. We were having this debate. I think I could bring this up later. But basically, a debate between what a fun character is and what a boring character is. And ulti is very fun. I know right now, Retro Gamer Dad saying that he just doesn't like using ulti, and I know there's a lot of people who feel that way. But the consecutive turns is just really fun to play with, and I'm trying to put my finger on why her consecutive turns feel different than Vayne's, but they really do for some reason. But anyways, we can move on.
So we did have a TCC challenge for this particular event. The challenge was no Caius, no Lyse, no Porom, so that was the synergy, no Galuf because he cheesed it. Lann and Reynn were actually really good for this event, so we nixed them. No Hope, no Penelo. Hope's kind of the meta support right now. Penelo for the gravity. Exdeath again for the gravity. Edge, Zack, and of course Aranea, friend Aranea. So we had a pretty big roster of bans for this TCC challenge. Again,
it did nothing to stop the winners.
It did nothing to stop the winners. We still had a large number of submissions, and that is kind of the time we're in. But just to remind you, the idea behind the TCC challenge is, of course, Macnol's Call to Arms, and you can find that on Reddit, MACNOL, or you can go to disccusion.info.com. That's Macnol's website, which has a lot more than it has detailed about each boss, has all information about the choco boards, of course, it has all the Call to Arms and some other good stuff that they're working on. So check out disccusion.info.com. But you can submit any video to the Call to Arms. The TCC challenge is a way to say, okay, let's remove the synergy bias from the event, because the idea behind any gacha is you want to pull so you can beat the current content. And let's remove the meta to see if there's some other combinations that will work, like some older characters like Ultimecia, right? Are they still good? Can you still use them? So here are the winners for this TCC challenge. I'll just read the names and butcher 50% of them or more. And if there's any particular team comps that you want to shout out, guys, let me know. Dreamy, Meow DFFOO, Soul DFFOO. Soul's been taking on the TCC challenge. If you don't know Soul, he is a streamer and YouTube content creator for DFFOO. Is a lot of fun. He's a good guy. He did Celeste Lightning Y'shtola, Masalento with the Steiner Beatrix Y'shtola, and one of our friends and fellow content creators as well. Anario Shorgan, Decidius Swifty, Volt, Camerbon, Siren, Clay. I don't know what this YouTube channel is. Somebody will have to tell me who that is, because I don't see
YouTube
it in
channel is persona !
Okay. 13 Riley, Nick the Ninja, Death Kebab, C-Sam, Slide, our good friend Slide, did Bosh Renoa selfie, no Laguna in there, sorry Slide. Harriet, Masaleno again, School of Nonsense, Captain, Lizette, Scott, Ultima, KDG, Sven Knows, WTB Riku, Adoden Phoenix, Yoshi Pasta, Infamous Element. I saw Infamous here on Twitch tonight. He brought Ultimisha, Charlotta, and Sarah. Very cool. Weird, Yoshi Pasta again, Omage, Strafe, our good friend and fellow content creator, and one of our mods. So shout out to Strafe. Check him out on YouTube. Brought Paladin Cecil, Vanille with 1 ingot, and Yuri with 1 ingot. Belial, Buddy, Big L, MZ Pro, Liz Lizette, Pikachu. That's offensive. And Buddy NCTU. I hope he's Jewish. Or else that is offensive. Brought Charlotta, 8, and Selfie. So yeah, several 3 ingot investments in there as well. So very good. Congratulations to all of you. Very, very cool. Appreciate all of you submitting those videos and seeing the just wide range of clears there are in this. Oh wait, excuse me, was there Ash? Let me go back. Please call that out. So Riku.
It was Riku who did the Ash run.
So Riku, very good job. Brought the retainers and the lady herself, Beatrix, General Leo, Ash. Thank you for calling me out here, Riku, on stream. Congratulations. Good job. I am glad you were able to use Ash in this fight. Very good. I'm going to have to go watch that run later tonight. Very impressive. And so some love for Lady Ash. And she had some good friends there with Beatrix and General Leo, some good retainers. So a good team. Congratulations. Good job. Yeah, feel free to shout that out. And congratulations. So we will give Ash this event. So hope to see more Ash uses in the future, as we like to see those characters that even we kind of trashed on a little bit and like to see them have some use. So good job, Riku, on that one, and keep going, keep at it. All right. Anything else from the Caius event? Kreese, did you have any? You have Caius, right? You purpled him?
Yeah, I purpled him.
Did you have any other kind of insight? Oh, no, we're going to talk about that later. I'm sorry.
We're going to do some retrospective for characters later on.
Thank you.
Let's get through the new stuff first.
Yes. Big to there is a very growing popularity for the TCC challenge, especially among streamers. I know a lot of people like Soul DFFOO, Long Time, Chris, and I think there's some others here. But
we
a lot more.
Masalento.
Yeah, Masalento for sure. A lot of streamers are starting to really embrace this challenge, and I've gotten messages from streamers too, and as well as other players who are saying that they now look forward to the TCC challenge more than the event itself, which I'm extremely grateful for. I might try harder, probably not, but the point is, I'm really glad that this dumb challenge we invented is really good for the community. And I'm glad it's because a lot of people were saying the difficulty is starting to plateau. It really is. I'll get to that in our character evaluations, and it's going to be plateaued for a long, long time. Lufania is the better part of a year away before a real challenge comes back, and it's so good to hear that a lot of people were saying that they wait for the TCC challenge before they even attempt the event nowadays, and we'll try to work harder on it. It's getting harder to restrict units. It's just getting impossible because the roster is so large and anyone with an EX Plus is runnable now. But be sure that I am maybe working on ways to innovate the formula after Diablos, because Diablos Chaos is a joke and I really don't want to do one for it. But I think we're going to brainstorm something because of the community demand. But that is a stupid fight. But I just wanted to thank the community, and that TCC challenge is really blowing up now.
Yeah, thank you, Eamon, for the Tier 1 sub and for 6 months. And thank you, CSAM, for the bits. Appreciate that. Appreciate all of your support. And feel free, if you're listening later, if you're listening live, give us a sub. That pays for the overhead of our thing, and if we get extra money, we give it away like we did a couple episodes ago. And congratulations to all those who won. So yeah, we've been having fun with the TCC challenge, and we Diablos TCC no Lulu melee only. Well, lightning so can solo that, so there you go. It is not a tough fight. But let's talk about Ultimate Diabolos. And why do we have to say Diabolos instead of Diablos? Wasn't it in the English... we've talked about this before. I think the first time this event came around. In the English version of Final Fantasy VIII, it is Diablos, right? There's no extra O in the name. Is that correct, or am I just dreaming? I was going to look that up before the show, and I didn't.
I'm not sure, actually.
I think it is spelled this way in Final Fantasy VIII too, but I cannot check quickly because there's a Diablos that exists in Monster Hunter.
Yeah, no, in Final Fantasy VIII, it was Diablos. Diablos.
No, everyone's saying even in the original FF8. Shit, this is a hard one to check.
Well, according to the Final Fantasy Wiki, it is Diablos, not Bolos, because that's how it's spelled in. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, it just seems like such a addition of syllables for no reason.
Apparently, according to my Google Foo, Diabolos is the Greek spelling. So we're not going with the Spanish spelling. We're going with the Greek spelling, which
Diablos.
makes more sense because there were a lot more Greek monsters in FF8, like Cerberus and Siren and others as well. Oh, Pandemonium. Yeah, so it had a really big Greek theme, so it makes sense they went with the Greek spelling.
Yeah, It looks like it was spelled Diabolos in the original FF8, so there was no O in there. There was no extra O.
Yeah,
so fucked up.
So who knows? Squex Joshua, can you let us know how to...
I'm assuming Diabolos is correct nowadays.
Well, Diabolos is what it is in this game, so that's what we're going to call it. I don't have to like it. It's just what it is. Dark Demon 22, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub. And you walked into my hatred of saying Diabolos as opposed to... so that's from the Greek, huh? I'm going to have to go back to my Greek, which I did study. Anyway, Ultimate Diablos is our new Ultimate Trial, our new summon board. You can raise him to level 30. We'll talk about him in a second. But you can also grind summon boards for all of your characters. And how many characters are we at about now? We are at 123. And of course, when
I only have about 30 done at the moment.
Yeah, I am not fired. I've been gone all yesterday. I was gone all today. So I've not gotten far at all. But I was able to clear the chaos and do all that kind of stuff. But I have not finished my boards. Joshua, are your boards mastered yet? We know Squex Joshua does all his boards. But so you're able to do those boards. And remember, you get gems, you get tickets, you get artifact tokens, armor tokens, through those treasures. And so there's a lot of resources, over 30,000 gems, over 300 tickets, a lot of armor tokens to have in that summon board. So do your summon boards, at least treasures, but it does make a big difference for, I see people on Facebook all the time, why isn't my team working when I see this other team working? And it's not always because they're just not playing as good as somebody else. It's really has to do about, it has to do with, those stats, we're on, is this 8 or 9? This is 7, right? The 7 summoning board. So, if you get 7 summoning boards worth of stats, it really, really adds up. So make sure. So Squex Joshua says, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure it was Diablos in Final Fantasy VIII and then retcon to Diabolos. So,
looking at it, FF8's the only one that had the Diablo spelling. And that makes sense. It wasn't the PlayStation. 7 and 8 were infamous for their terrible translations.
8 had a much better translation than 7. I think what was it? It was Squaresoft at the time started to actually pay attention to their translations again at 8 after FF7 was actually successful in the West.
I thought I heard rumors that 8's dialogue was changed a ton too, but
I know there's
I
portions where we're getting way off topic, but yes, FF8 definitely had a lot of translation changes, but those were more like the Woolseyisms of the SNES era, more than just bad translations. They were adjusting it for a different culture.
Shaded Mystic is saying 7's translation was hilariously bad. I agree. They misspelled all the bad words and put like symbols instead.
Yep.
They also completely missed plot points and dumbed down a lot of things and made it unclear what exactly was going on.
Oh yeah, there were some real confusing things. Yeah. Levantine, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub. And yeah, Joshua said if only they would retcon Final Fantasy Tactics and 12's Exodus to Exdeath. I prefer the Exodus since I'm a big fan of the Final Fantasy V anime dubbed, where it is the Immortal Exodus.
I think it makes sense to keep the Tactics and 12, the summon, different name, so there isn't that cross-reference, because, you know, that one's an actual main villain of a series. It's like having an FF Tactics summon called, like, Kafka or Ultimecia or something. Wait a minute. Oh, wasn't there an Ultima enemy in FF Tactics? Well, whatever. The point is, I understand.
It was Ultima in the original translation, going back to bad translations again.
Oh, and Joshua's like, he's a tree. It should be Exdeath, right? But I can understand how they want to kind of differentiate it, I'm sure.
Joshua says it was the same in JP for Exodus, so
I chalk it up to localization.
That's some liberties in the translation then, and localization.
All right, here Moracat, our good friend streamer, is rating, so thank you for that. And I'm going to put the Discord link there. Somebody said the Discord link was not working, so there's the link to our Discord. So hey Hero, how are you doing? Glad you're joining us. I'm sure you're grinding. You already have perfect arts for Aerith, but grinding those summon boards up for the lady. So hey, speaking of Aerith or Chaireth, there's been a lot of Chaireth jokes. I have to shout out, I should have written down the shall I give you a chair. The meme was too funny for me. That pun was on game. Anyway, so we did get a banner, 2 banners, but 1 banner with 2 new realizations. The first brought us Aerith. We already had Aerith level 70, and we already had Aerith Rework and her EX, but we did get an EX realization. So, Kreese, do you want to walk us through Aerith realization, and then we'll talk about her a little bit more in detail?
Sure. Basically, the realization's job was to fix all the problems her base EX had, which was a EX buff that just didn't last long enough to be maintained 100% of the time unless you were spamming abilities, which you do not want to do with Aerith because she doesn't dump Brave on any of her abilities, and also making Fury Brand her EX ability an actual Brave dump now. That's basically what it did. It turned it into a much better button to push, and also made it so you can actually maintain 100% uptime on her EX buff Ancient Lineage. And the ways that happens is that Fury Brand has a faster recast if you fully realize the EX plus weapon. Ancient Lineage gets a longer buff duration. Aerith gets a much needed boost to her attacking max Brave. Fury Brand now dumps Brave, performs Brave hits after the party battery. Ancient Lineage gets a new effect where it now increases Brave overflow for stolen and for gained Brave. So any sort of Brave gains for the party, whether it be through dealing damage or through batteries, now can overflow. And Aerith starts with all of her buffs up, all of her important ones, at least the attack, Citrus Favor, and Ancient Lineage at the start of fights. And she gets better Brave Plus and HP Plus variants. It basically just brings her up to par and makes her a much more useful unit. She can Brave Shape with her HP plus. She can rely on it a lot more. She still has the Cursed Artifact issue where you need to likely farm some of them. She's less dependent than other characters, but her Max Brave aura only comes from artifacts. She's just a much better character all around than she was before. But technically I have her EX because I got it in tickets, but I haven't even put Limit Broken her base EX, let alone her EX plus. So, Mino, did you realize her weapon?
Yeah, I 3-3'd her because it's in my plans. Not much to say here.
She didn't change much. She just does what she did better now.
Yeah, basically. I mean, just like Hope, I find her to be an extremely boring support, but she serves her purpose. By the way, 2 weeks later, again, Hope is still fresh, but I'm already feeling better about realizing him because so many of these fights recently are just chunking you with AoE, Brave, and HP damage, right? So he's already showing his worth. So I know Hope was a good investment. Hopefully, I feel the same about Aerith down the line. But to voice Kreese's concerns, the cursed artifacts makes balancing Aerith really weird. And basically, depending on if you have the full set of cursed artifacts or not, her longevity is an issue based on ability charges and whether or not she has a max brave aura at all is tied to her cursed artifacts. So she does get pretty swingy with the cursed artifacts. And that is annoying because even with the full cursed artifacts, the party auras she gives are kind of subpar compared to a lot of other supports at this time. Because again, without it, it's I believe 65% attack to the party. That's okay. Most people nowadays have about 75% average, I'd say, like, Hope and Penelo.
According to the infographic, she gives a total 60% attack bonus to the party.
Right, even worse.
She does have a nice boost where she gives a generic int brave up buff
Yeah,
to the
oh, yeah.
party, and combined with her auras, that is a total of 80%, which can be pretty nice for some characters that
I thought it
rely
was
on brave
90.
regions.
Am I crazy? If it's 80, 80 is good. But that is her specialty that I was going to get to. I wanted to say her max brave is only 45%. Her attack's only 60%. Again, this is farming curse artifacts. And if you're going to argue that, oh, well, she doesn't need perfect curse artifacts, so it's not that bad. The point is she always has to sacrifice a slot rather than get a full rework. Like Wakka has +6 S1 charges with his rework. Aerith's never going to get that because of her cursed artifacts. So you have to waste a slot to get the aura and the charges, whereas most other characters can stack the raw stats of attack and max brave or whatever, or int brave, to make a significant difference. So she does have that holding back. So her auras are subpar, except when it comes to int brave. That's where she really shines, I believe, is enabling regen parties. And she's the new in Brave buffer. I don't think we've had one for a long time. I believe. Yeah. Even before Selfie, it was back
Rosa.
in
Rosa.
Yeah. Very close to when Entropy dropped, I believe, and that is rough. So that is good for the region teams, and of course we have Penelo with the big regions now. We're going to have several more big regions coming up. So if you do like region teams, Aerith's very good at that. Aerith is also the best overall burst healer. Y'shtola is quote has the best burst heal ability with her EX. That's a full heal, but it's not on demand, as Aerith's heals are constant. Every ability heals, even the EX heals. That's up all the time. So when it comes to pure overall burst healing, I feel like Aerith's in the lead for that. And the last thing I need to mention is Black Cloud really hammered this into me, is that Aerith has Brave gained overflow and Brave stolen overflow to the party. 20% for gains, 30% for attacks. And I kind of dismissed this at first because I said, well, 30% is nice, but we have a couple of other supports that already give 20%. And the gained won't really matter because if you're running with meta units, they're going to break that 30 on their own, right? But then Black Cloud convinced me that there's a lot of people like Papalimo or Leo who battery themselves before doing big hits, and this helps them hit that enlarged cap even better. Or you can just have Aerith's batteries bring them up to that extra 20%, and they just need to break that extra 10% on their gain. So I do think that is really good. Very good for overflow parties, region parties, burst healing. But otherwise, actually, it's a good niche. Last thing is her HP++ shaving ability is now very, very strong. Weird niche, not to be relied on, but with Enchant Imperil and just, the attack boost she gives herself and from party, you can't count her out as a shaver.
One thing I wanted to mention before I let Mark talk is that Aerith has a cursed artifact that gives her more uses of Prayer of the Cetra, but it's not a very good artifact cursed passive because it only gives her additional uses of it. On the other hand, she only has 4 base uses of Prayer of the Cetra, which means that with her starting buffs, and if you burn through all of her uses as efficiently as possible, she has a maximum of 45 turns for herself where she has her Cetra's Favor buff active, which is a large source of her increased attack because it gives her 80% max magic attack and it gives her a decent brave regen along with that. So if that falls off, she's going to take a hit to her healing because her healing's based off of her attack,
Yeah.
and it's going to give her a penalty to her brave shave because she does a decent number of brave hits on HP plus and Fury Brand now. Do you think that's actually going to be an issue? Right now, Mino, she's high turn rate on all of her abilities, her Brave plus, her HP plus, her EX, both of her skills. Everything's high turn rate, so she can burn through turns fast if you pair her with slower characters.
We got to see outside of synergy. We were having this discussion actually, so I'm glad you brought it up. Before people removed speed passives off of Aerith because they wanted her EX buff to last as long as possible. Now with the redesign, her EX buff and her overflow and everything, that's up 100% of the time. It is 6 turns, takes her about 3 turns to recharge it. It should almost never fall off if you're paying attention. Cetra's Favor, I believe, is 10 turns now. So it's very hard for any of her stuff to fall off. So for now, we're saying that keep her speed up. Have more turns to shave and heal. We'll see if that changes going down the line. And to address Macnell really quick. Macnell's saying he's quoting me saying, "Oh, she's got this laundry list of positives, but apart from that, what does she bring really?" I do think I'm underselling her. She must be on my guaranteed pulls for a reason. I charted out every pull I need for Entropy, and I'm not straying from that. I'm pretty fucking sure. So if I put her on, past me's research must have said she's insanely good. But I will say I will advocate for a lot of people who don't like Aerith, and that she's not a meta must-have support. So I would not say you have to blow resources if you're not interested. But Mark, why don't you?
She's definitely a strong healer, though.
Yeah,
and if you have not gotten a recent healer, she will fill that slot great.
Yeah, she's the best burst healer, the best overflow support, has Int Brave and decent regular auras, but, whatever. She's not very good. No, I have her 3/3, and I think, there's going to be a lot of instances where if you want to be able to choose between various support, that she's going to fill in the role very nicely. I don't know that the cursed artifacts is such a big deal. Yes, you need to have... as someone who gets at least one primary good artifact on anybody, and anyway, it's not that big of a deal. Yes, you need 3, what's it called, charged healing wind boost all. You need 3 of those. Beyond that, who cares? Maybe one double cursed would be nice, but I've got defense, I've got break boost 2-star, and I've got attack 65 as my secondaries, and she's doing great. In chaos. So yeah, she's not particularly complicated to play, but she gets a lot more viable. Her healing is always clutch when it needs to be. She can pretty much survive off of her HP plus and her EX now with a fairly decently fast charge rate. I don't think even without somebody was asking if her EX extends buff duration. I don't believe that it does.
Not. No.
Yeah. No. But certainly you could pair her with somebody that did if that was something you were interested in. But even without it, 4 uses of Centra is fine. If you 3/3, that's the big issue, I think, with Aerith is, is she more powerful overall than Hope and Penelo and Arciella coming out, Elfenod coming out, Aphmau coming out? Probably not, but she is really useful and you're going to get a lot of mileage out of her. The problem is you do need to 3/3 her. She's not going to work she's not going to work much better than she was working before with just booking her. Now 3/3 her, it's a big difference, but so in terms of that, yeah, you really do need to invest in her. And so that may be throwing a lot of people off because, again, would you rather invest in a older character who's getting a new realization versus a newer support? And we are not now for a while, but here in a month or two, we are getting another slew of good supports, and we already had a really good support and help. But I really like Aerith. I really like to have that overflow option, and she does provide some other things, and I think there are certain characters now and moving forward that really will take advantage of that overflow. So I think it's good to have, as Inkwelder and I have often talked about. I think it's good to have as many supports as you can because you never know which support might work best. So, yeah,
I think a couple of things worth mentioning that are coming up in chat is that Aerith is also a much more offensive support than, for example, Porom is. She does a lot more Brave Shave. She does a lot more HP damage than Porom will be doing. And that can be a benefit if you need that character dealing Brave Shave and dealing HP damage every turn.
Yeah, Porom fans are lucky I wasn't on the podcast last week because I was going to fucking shit all over her. When I was listening back and Drusane said something about, because I argued my side about turn efficiency, and Drusane's like, no, if you 3-3 her, that doesn't come up. Mino's wrong. I was fighting words. So it's very lucky we missed each other here on the podcast.
Hey, Resfoina, I hope you got Aerith and were able to use her, and thank you for the host. So check out Resfoina on Twitch and YouTube, one of our fellow content creators, and I've been a guest host here as well. So we always enjoy her content. So yeah, again, Aerith is, if you are you going to pull for her? If you love her, of course you're going to pull for her. If you don't really like this banner, it's probably an easy skip. But if you have her, you're probably going to use her because why not? You can always throw a support on a tier of Entropy, and it's always nice to have an extra support there. So that does bring us to a character that got a lot more than just a realization, and he is the Bleetzball champion and sports betting. I don't know where it's going with the sports betting, but his name is Wakka, and he got a rework, an EX, and an EX realization. So, Kreese, why don't you walk us through Wakka?
He still has randomness in his kit. The end.
Yep.
Okay, really, what he got was actually a decent amount, but I am not wrong. He actually got more randomness in his kit than he used to. But anyways, big things that Wakka got with his rework. Dark Attack's now actually a decent button to push, even if the target is already blinded, because it actually has a number. It's up to 10 total ability uses from, I think it was 5 before. It deals 4 brave hits instead of just the 1. It can overflow. Great Daring now has more ability uses. I think it's up to 6 from 5. It does perform an HP hit. The Brave gain, self-Brave gain can Brave overflow, so it's nice. His Brave Plus that he gets now has a party battery component, which is nice. And that's about it for his rework. The rest all is built into his EX weapon. Oh, wait, sorry. He also got some party auras with his passives. I forgot about those. Anyways, his EX ability is Attack Reels. It's a single target attack, Brave plus HP executed 4 times with a random battery component for allies based on his attack stat. And he gets a new buff that gives party bonuses, basically Int Brave Up, Attack Up, Max Brave Up, Brave Regen, called Captain's Order. If you fully realize him, he gets a lot more. Big changes that happen. Attack Reels starts with its chart, its EX gauge filled, so he can start using it right away. It becomes an AoE HP attack. He gets access to an HP plus, which batteries the party based on HP damage dealt. He gets a chance, if you fully realize him, to apply a different buff to his allies called Attack Reels. It is not a 100% chance to apply it, though, every time he uses Attack Reels. It's a 60% chance. If they do get Attack Reels, though, they get an attack bonus and a Brave Stolen Overflow bonus, I believe it is. So he does get a lot of nice things. Downside is Wakka has a lot of randomness in his kit. Great Daring still does not have guaranteed self buffs for Wakka. They're all generic still. The battery component of attack reels is a random amount. It can be as low as 100% of his attack or as high as 200% of his attack. Attack reels are not guaranteed to be applied to allies. I'm not a big fan of this amount of randomness in a kit. Just back in the 60s era when I'd mess around with Wakka, there were times where I'd see his max brave up bonus not apply 3 times in a row when using Great Daring. So I have concerns about how great he is. He does a lot. He's a much more offensive support. He does have the blind he can apply. He can improve allies a lot. He batteries now much better than he did before. He brings a lot more to the table than he used to. I just don't know if that's enough to make up for the coin flip every time you use one of his attacks. Mino, thoughts?
Yeah, I think I'm probably the only person who's seen a 3-3 Wakka in action, because Hitmonchan MLB'd it, and he gave me access to his account to try it too, that I didn't take yet because I've already made up my mind after running dozens of co-ops with his 3-3 Wakka, and he's played some 3-3 Wakka himself and given me his thoughts. And as a huge Wakka fanboy, he's like, Wakka's kind of underwhelming. I mean, he's still happy he pulled it in MLB for faves, but I wonder how many people actually have seen a 3-3 Wakka in action, because according to a bunch of chats, almost nobody.
I've seen one in a co-op room at the moment.
Really? Oh, okay. So I want to like the kit, but honestly, talking to Kreese over the week has really soured me on the RNG. He has 4 levels of RNG. Dark Attack is a 50% chance whether the enemy will miss or not. And again, that's not a 50% flat chance. That's a 50% chance per target. So Diablos can throw his AoE attack, and it's a 50% chance 3 times across your party, whether or not that'll miss or not. The skill 2 is 90% chance for each buff to apply. Very high, but we all know 10% chance can come in handy. Look at all the 10%. There's all our characters have a 10% chance to dodge, I believe, and that kicks in more than we ever thought it would. And EX has the RNG chance of battery. That doesn't bother me as well. I've talked a lot about characters like Kate Sith. I said acceptable, or Ace. Acceptable RNG is there's a baseline and you have a chance to get more. That's fine with me. If you always plan around the 100% attack battery, then you're golden. But as Kreese pointed out, that is a level of RNG in his kit. And then finally, the EX buff, which is a 60% chance to apply to allies. First of all, clarification, this is only given to allies, not Wakka himself. Wakka does not benefit from the overflow attack and max brave that he grants to allies. The second thing is it is a 60% chance. And again, just like blind, it is a separate 60% chance per ally. It's not 60% chance they both have it. It's a separate check for each person. I've seen plenty of times where Wakka's EX buff will only hit one ally, and it's rough. I want to like his kit. It has a lot of utility, as Kreese said. He blinds, he batteries, he can choose to break or not, depending on the skill. He has all these auras and buffs, but it is all RNG tied. And the problem is these auras, while good, aren't good enough, even if they were 100% chance. I would say he's a very average to above average support if he can apply all his stuff 100% of the time. But he can't even do that. These aren't ridiculous auras. The attack, max brave, and overflow, they're not game breaking. So even if you gamble, you're not getting much. You're either getting a slightly good aura and buff on everybody, or you're getting nothing at all. And it just fucking sucks with the RNG. There are other gambler characters with 0 RNG in their kit, like Setzer, and I think Balthier has 0 RNG on his on everything now too, right? 100% guaranteed for all his procs.
Yeah, Balthier is now 100% guaranteed. He had randomness in his kit when he first released back in the 35 CP era.
Exactly. Selfie's another gambler with no fucking RNG in her kit, but they singled out, and I'm okay with gamblers getting RNG. Kate Sith has some RNG in his kit, whatever, but Wakka is literally RNG in everything he does. And again, even if you roll the dice and win, you are not benefiting that much, and it sucks. But onto the good things. If Aerith is a support, that got an update to give her more DPS. Wakka is a DPS that got an update to give him more support. He does constantly battery the party. He does give a lot of buffs, and you want to really bring him as, like an R, like a more of a DPS slot than a support slot. I mean, some things is like, he can grant the party overflow. Very few people can do that. They're all supports. If you want a DPS to kind of fulfill that role, there's that. I guess. I don't have too much good to say. His damage is decent if you build him right, but it's just I just can't get over the fact that even if he had no RNG, his kit would just be above average. But because of the RNG, it sets him back tremendously. I will mention that his starting buffs, starting with the EX charged and starting with all his great daring buffs, does kind of help him out of the gate. But the RNG still means there's always potential that'll drop off. And you're always rolling. You can't plan around Wakka, basically. And this wouldn't be a problem if his highest point was good, but it's just not. Mark, do you have any extra thoughts?
Yeah, when they release Keeper, it's going to be, it's just going to complement him. Everything's. Yeah, my big problem with Wakka is kind of what you just said in terms of it's not necessarily the RNG itself. It's the fact that if he hit, if everything procced, if blind procced 100%, if when he hit skill 2, he got all of the buffs, if when he hit his EX, everyone always got the buff, the frame buff, he wouldn't really be that overpowered. He would be good. He would be a nice third slot character. He does decent DPS, decent auras. So he would be a good third slot character. But again, when you got heavy turn counts, when you're you're literally gambling on, am I going to bring this kind of middle of the road character who sometimes is really going to screw up a run. That being said, I don't think he's terrible, but do you really want to use that kind of character who's not going to be consistent in terms of what they're doing? There's just a lot. Like you said, every button you hit with Wakka besides Brave Plus and HP Plus is AA is RNG based. So, and it's not 99% of the time. 60% of the time is pretty significant. So, in terms of the amount it can miss.
I want to address Harrieth in chat saying, but isn't Ace RNG as well? And as I've said time and time again, he has one RNG element in his kit. Like his skill 1, skill 2, they're all set in stone. His EX is a set amount of damage. The only RNG is what buff you get when you do his EX. And the thing is, like I said, it has a baseline. Like Kate Sith has a baseline amount of damage his EX does. I'm okay with that. Baseline. But Wakka, all of Wakka's stuff is hit or miss. There's no baseline. It's like, is blind going to work? Maybe. Are these buffs going to stick? Maybe. Whereas everyone else you can play around it and anything you get is a bonus.
Leaving Wakka at 90% chance for all of his great daring buffs and leaving them as generics and making it so it's still 4 buffs, it's a lot to ask for this character that he has so much randomness baked into his kit. What did you break it up into being? How many layers, Mino? 4 layers of randomness in his kit?
Yes. Mm-hmm. On every single ability, too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
right now at this point in the game, it's 1 layer of randomness for characters at most, and Wakka just is way more than that.
Yeah. Well, if you 3-3'd Wakka, if he is a favorite of yours, we hope to see him in the Call to Arms. We hope to see him in TCC challenges moving forward. Like I said, I don't think he's terrible, but again, are you going to invest precious ingots in a character who is going to blow some runs for you, or who you're just going to put other significant?
Considering there are people who have done solo shadow runs of Chaos Fights, and that was a hell among hells on the number of resets they had to do. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people willing to roll the dice with Wakka.
Yeah, like I said, he's not a bad
Wakka's
character.
not a bad character.
Yeah.
He just has a lot of randomness, and I think in general, us co-hosts have kind of shied away from randomness in our character kits.
Yeah. Well, I still see a lot of people asking about how to use solo, and Facebook mostly, how do you solo content with Shadow? And yeah, you have to be good and want to spend 12 hours resetting. Every once in a while somebody will get it. Yep, so every once in a while somebody will get it on their first or second try, but yeah, the majority of the time it's going to take 30 or 40 tries. And again, is it worth it? Now, if that's something you want to do, you got a lot of free time on your hands, great. And if you like a good challenge, then wonderful. Soloing homage to Salty says soloing FOD or Entropy 4 with Shadow was more RNG than Wakka himself. That's 100%
I guess
true.
One thing we forgot to mention about Wakka is that he's the original counter character. His Crystal Strength 50 passive allows him to counterattack when he dodges an attack, which is tied to his Dark attack, him blinding. It doesn't deal an HP attack. It's a single brave hit, so it's kind of weak now. But he can do those counters.
It's fun.
Every once in a while.
I wish he had that brave dump on the counter, because I mean, even that wouldn't break him. It's just the thing is, like, you don't get enough for gambling. You don't get enough of a payoff. It's like saying you're gonna get a $1,000 paycheck this month, and you can roll the dice, and if you get a 6, it'll be $1,050. Or if you get 1 through 5, you get $0. So like that's how Wakka feels. I mean, if you're gonna make a gambling character interesting, make the payoff huge. Otherwise, it's just not worth the risk at all, because there's characters that can do what he does without any RNG.
Yeah, Hiramura Cat says Setzer gambles less than Wakka. Wakka's the high roller of gambling. Well, I said on Discord, I think earlier this week, that Wakka is not in the Bleetzball Hall of Fame because of sports gambling. He is the Pete Rose of Blitzball. So that's what happens. Yeah, you got to...
Oh, Macnell says it's because Setzer's not a loser, and Wakka is. I mean, I think it's canon. They lose that first Blitzball game, right? Or he's never won a game until Tidus came along.
That's right. So, he never won. Yeah, they had not won a game until Tidus came along.
Fucking terrible.
Yeah. Bleetzball. Yeah, so good luck if you pulled. There were other characters, and they are the Super Synergy characters on this. Remember, Super Synergy or Special Boosted, in GL. They go across the summon board, so you can use them to give your people even more summoning board points. So you usually use one of them in your runs. The Special Boosted characters for this event are Aerith, Wakka, Vaan, Kuja, Sabin, and Deuce. The other banner had Kuja and Sabin EX, so both of them. Obviously, Inkwelder has been using Sabin. I still use Kuja from time to time, so they're not terrible characters.
A couple things to mention about this batch of special boosted characters. Mark kind of mentioned it, but just to be 100% clear, special boosted applies to every summon board grind right now for the period of time that it is active. All 6 of these characters increase all experience or summon board points earned for all summon board grinds. Also, this is the first special boosted batch we have had where every character has their EX realization available, which in practicality means you want to bring 35 CP Vaan to make everything fast, but you could bring your fully realized character from this batch if you have them fully realized, and they work very well. I've been using Kuja to great success myself, even though Vaan technically ends up being faster. And now that my Kuja summon board is mastered, I'm probably going to be using Vaan more and more.
Yeah, our friend Jin Lee, who is one of our mods and a content creator, you can check him out, Jin Lee, on YouTube. He did a quick run video, kind of timing all 6 of them and seeing who kind of was the fastest. And as we anticipated, Vaan is the fastest. His skill 2, basically you just have to spam skill 2 with Vaan. His skill 2, the boss ultimate Diabolos, is weak to him, weak to wind. And skill 2 does wind, and of course he's boosted, and he's doing weak damage. So even with his, I only have Vaan's 15 and 35 CP MLB'd. I do have all of his boards as well, but I ran him without any of his boards first, and then I've done it with all of his boards. And yeah, he's doing well over 120, 130,000 damage every single time he presses that skill 2 button. in with just his 35. So if you have his EX, if you have his EX realized, he's going to even do more damage. And so he does make it really, 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 really quick as you're special boosted. And then you bring, I've been bringing one strong character, one weak character, and Vaan, and just tearing through the boards in the, maybe hour that I've been able to summon board grind thus far. So, but yeah, as Chris mentioned, those 6 characters go across all summon boards. So if you've missed some previous, go back and take care of them and get those masteries if you need to. That lasts for about 2 weeks, 2 weeks or 15 days. I forget exactly how long the special boosted. Yep. So exactly 2 weeks from the time it launched. So you will have the opportunity to do that. So how is this? Mino, I know you've been busy. Have you had any time to grind summon boards?
Not really. I've mastered almost 15.
Oh, you've done more than I have.
That was all on like the first night. I haven't even touched it all of today. Wait, did it drop yesterday?
It dropped Tuesday evening for us.
Tuesday evening, yep.
And I haven't done any boards in like 2 days. Holy shit. Well, gotta get on that. This board I can carry 2 weeks at a time because Vaan is just so strong. I think before it was always super boosted, strong, weak.
Yeah.
Now it's just Vaan, weak. Switch out a week with Leo.
Leo.
Tag team. Yeah. They tag team and destroy it. Like, it doesn't even matter who else you bring at this point.
No, right. Vaan, friend Leo can beat it easily. Yeah.
As I mentioned, I'm at about 30 characters treasures done. I've only mastered one board, and that's Kuja, though Vaan is getting close now. Since I have so many characters in the special boosted batch with at least realized EX weapon, I've been just using them as carry, cycling between them to get them all mastered, because I'll probably want them mastered just in case I need to use them for Dimensions End or something. One thing we did not mention that I want to bring up is what the Diabolos summon board passives are which are recommended. So the ones you can get for the Diablo summon board are Dark Resist Up, Dark Resist All, Dark Power Up, Diabolos Attack Up, Diabolos Boost Guard Up. Now these two, Dark Attack Up or Diabolos Attack Up and Boost Guard Up, they're different than the ones we've had in the past where they trigger at certain HP thresholds. These activate once you hit a certain HP threshold and then stay active permanently beyond that. So for the Diabolos passives, they activate once you fall below 60% of max HP and then stay active for the rest of the fight. The last two passives are Greater Brave Rejuvenate, which raises Brave gain by 5%, and Protect Up, which reduces HP damage by 5% if your Brave is less than 50% of max Brave, which in Chaos is actually it's a nice bonus. So the ones that the Tonberry Troupe on their infographic recommend for just the go-tos, generic, no bonus from certain elements and such, is Attack Up, Receive Brave Heal Up, and Protect Up. So options 4, 6, and 7 on the list. If the character is a dark attacker, such as Dark Knight Cecil, Golbez, Leon, or Shintoto, you want to take Dark Power Up and skip the Receive Brave Heal Up. And I generally agree with that. It makes the most sense to me, too.
I think it makes the most sense, but I'm doing 4, 5, 6. Fuck it. I'll take the minuscule max Brave over the reduced HP damage any day.
Interesting. Well, let us know how that works. 2% max Brave versus 5% damage.
The 2% max Brave only kicks in if you drop below 60%
if you drop below the 60%. Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Well, whatever. That's good to know. I remember Hitmonchan was asking, so I looked into it. I don't know. I think it's ultimately so minuscule either way. I think people are really stressing out about it. But yeah, I mean, I'll do it unoptimally. And like I said, I agree with Kreese and Ink's findings. That is the more optimal way for sure.
And the last thing to mention is that if you level the Diablo summon to level 30, it becomes a much better summon to set. Instead of having an elemental weakness increase while you're under 80% of max HP, you now get a permanent Int Brave bonus to your whole party. And the elemental weakness bonus becomes permanent once dropping below 80% of max HP once during the fight. So it's less conditional and more useful as a go-to, especially if you're running like a heavy brave regen and a heavy int brave party. It's actually a nice consideration to take if you don't need the extra attack or the extra speed or something like that.
Yeah, I think it is an interesting summon, especially with that 30% I Brave up. There might be some opportunities to use him and the elemental damage as well. So, and I like the passives too. I think it's an interesting change from what we've had before. So, play around with that and let us know how it works and how you like it. So, I'm looking forward to it. My Diabolos is at level 30 and haven't been able to use him too much, but we'll see moving forward.
Currently at 29 just because I only got started on summon board grinding today and I haven't gotten the resources quite yet. Probably after another round or two of summon board grinding, I'll be able to get to 30.
All right. Well, good luck, everybody, on the grind. Now, obviously, if you're newer to the game, and we do have some newer players that listen to us here live, and then, of course, throughout the week, remember you have to level your regular summon to level 20 to even unlock the ultimate trials. And as a brand new player, that is a little bit overwhelming. I really think you want to focus on your normal mode, story mode, and your LCs first, building up a little bit of resources and building up some characters before you get into that. But you do have to, take those summon boards kind of at your own pace. And then once they are level 20, you unlock the ultimate trials. And this is number 7 of the ultimate trials. So it can be a little overwhelming. Thankfully, there are, there's special boosted for the entire summon boards right now for 2 weeks. And there is the wild points that make it a little bit easier than when we first started. And there will be other things moving forward that will make it a little bit easier. But good luck to all of you. And I saw Anomander already has like 94 mastered. I saw Macnel online. Is Macnel already mastered all his boards? I know Squex Joshua was on earlier. He always masters all the boards, and he said he's taken it at a good pace. So I know some of us do. I do about 50-50 in terms of mastering versus anything else. So to each your own. Mino just masters like 3 or 4. But however you enjoy it. That's for sure. Now, this does come with a Cosmos and a Chaos fight. And, of course, in these fights...
And you forgot one thing, Mark.
Yeah.
There's a co-op grind, too.
Oh, yeah, we do now get co-ops. These are outside of the actual World of Illusion. So the co-ops are in the events page, and it is a level 70 and a level 100 co-op. It is not particular. You can literally run 35 Vaan and Eris. You're going to see a lot of Vaan and Eris and Kujas, I think, as well. I've not seen. I've not really done it very much, but
I have not seen a single Sabin or Deuce.
Oh. So yeah, if you want to get your Deuce and Sabin on there's no reason not to use. But it's a real easy co-op, and even the level 100, there's no reason to do the level 70. The level 70 is like super easy. The level 100 is the one we're doing with summon board grinding, and that's not particularly challenging. So yeah, bring those synergy characters and get the tokens and move on with your life. But there's some nice little things in the shop there, including power tokens, power stones, gems, tickets, and high crystals of all colors. Chocobo feathers, Dissidia points, potions, armor tokens, and regular crystals and power orbs. So yeah, there's a bunch of good stuff in that shop. So take advantage of that. Ink was using Sabin, Yoshi Pasta says. So I would assume nothing less. If you got your 3/3 Sabin. So yeah, you do your one Gigantar summon a day or a co-op a day, and then 4 of the other ones, and I think you'll be fine throughout this event. So let's now move to the Chaos event. You have to fight Diabolos in his ginormous, his level 180 form. In that form, he is very resistant to melee, and he is absorbing dark. He is also immune to attack down, speed down, max brave down, int brave down, and force, so he's immune to the knockback debuffs. He is weak to wind. Yeah, poor Diesel. Not a great opponent, as Squix Joshua says, against that. Now he has. I played a fairly powerful team, but I tried to play a team that wasn't just delaying him into Abyss. They ended up kind of doing that anyway, but I didn't use any of the actual delayers to try to see a little bit about how this fight worked mechanically. And I didn't get very far in figuring out what he did. So he does have some gravity attacks, and so he can get a ton of brave real quick. He has one attack that reduces everybody's basically brave to 1 and absorbs a whole bunch of brave, and that's pretty fast, and so he can act again and do a big AoE. He also has that his recast ability, which is Dark Messenger, increases his brave, and then does a group dark magic attack and HP attack, applies dark space to the field, increases HP damage dealt by Diabolos, and grants power of darkness to
I'll just point out that as of right now, looking at the call to arms, there are currently 3 lightning solos of this chaos fight.
Yep, you can do that. You can solo lightning, and it's not particularly hard. She's able to take this. Now, I mean, it's not, you can't just press random buttons, but you can do this with lightning fairly easily. I was able to do it, so I think you're going to be able to do it. Yeah, Soul Night is Darkfall Terrors, that Soul did it. I did go back and I took Lightning, Beatrix, and Aerith just to try to take some of the hits and see what had happened. And with, hey, Shara, thank you for gifting a tier 1 sub to Swex Joshua. Appreciate that. And all of you who sub, we appreciate that, and gift subs, we appreciate that. But yeah, so you can kind of avoid the attacks. You can delay him, of course. Now, Leo is obviously melee, so if you want to bring somebody like Leo, you do need to enchant him, which you can do. You can bring enchanters if that's what you want to do. Vayne is the same way, but your range characters like Aranea, she's able to do this fine. Lightning, just because of her speed, is able to delay it really, really fast. Aerith with her heal, even Wakka with his stuff. Of course, there's a lot of RNG to that. Did you guys do this chaos? Like I said, I did a lightning soul, and then I brought lightning, Beatrix, and Aerith, and that was fairly easy.
Not unlocked yet, as I said. My Diablo.
Oh yeah, you're at
level 29.
Yep, and thank you for the subscription, Chair. So the call to arms is live on disccusion.info.com. So,
I was gonna say I brought Sabin, Shantoto, and Aerith, so I did see the mechanics a lot. I was actually gonna say to defer to Chris to talk about the fight, but he didn't get there yet. I'm just learning now, so I don't think I have an accurate analysis here, but I think it's. His first AoE attack will always be gravity, and then if his bar is charged, his AoE is the recast, which is
Macnol and Scott Ong actually have a boss guide up on
Yep.
I can refer to that. Actually, if Diablos is it depends on how far along his recast ability is and what his behavior will be. If he's below 75% of his EX recharge ability, he will use Group Darka instead of Gravija. If he's at 75%, then he uses Gravija, which is the gravity brave hit. And if he's at 100%, he always does Dark Messenger, his recast ability. A big thing to be afraid about with Gravija is that it does inflict turn rate down, and combined with the fact that Diablos can delay targets, he can get dangerous really fast if you're not watching out for what he's doing, is my understanding of the fight.
Yeah, chat's saying, oh yeah, I brought Shantoto and he absorbs dark. Yes, as usual, I don't read anything and I just pick characters that I think this will be fun to play, and I ran it in. And the reason I think the Diablos fight is such a joke, because with that stupid ass team, I was able to do it well below the turn count. And it's like Shantoto has the Imperil, so luckily her dark just got negated instead of absorbed. and I only used her skill 2 when she was capped just to dump. And there's a little poison on there, sure. But I just spammed skill 1, and I just spammed abilities, and he died because I heard he was tanky. I wanted to try running my favorite characters, blah, 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 imperil elements. It worked out. I just don't think there's, he doesn't even hit hard enough with his stuff at all. I don't know. Anyway,
saying he's highly predictable. He will always use 3 abilities, then Gravija, then Dark Messenger, then repeat cycle. With you being able to predict the 3 random abilities he uses based on his current Brave, whether he's targeting all or a single target, that sort of thing.
So it should not be the hardest fight. Of course, everyone is synergy in the world of illusions, so that's going to help a lot of characters. And yeah, if they are imperil characters like Lightning, even though she does melee attacks, she can be used here. Shantano can obviously imperil her elements, so that does help a little bit too. So if you're having trouble, please come on to our Discord and we'll be happy to help you out. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of runs on the Call to Arms, so Dissidia Info. And Scott and Macnell have that great guide on there too to walk through some of the boss mechanics if you'd like to learn that, DissidiaInfo.com. And there is a nice infographic on Diabolos himself talking about all this stuff that we've talked about kind of in a concise form on TonberryTroupe.com. And that is our good friends, the Tonberry Troupe. All right, well, moving on from Ultimate Diabolos to Dimensions End Entropy Tier 9, or Tier 10, excuse me. This has been out now, and we've had the opportunity. Last week, we had not had the opportunity to do it as it was going live as we were streaming. This particular fight, we did cover it. We did talk about the fight. It is the dragon fight where you fight the 3 mini dragons, then you fight 2 wyverns, then you fight a holy dragon plus a skull dragon, then you fight the Osteoveus as a single boss, and then you fight Dark Bahamut as a single boss. And so there were 3 initial waves of multiple bosses, but the final 2 waves were single bosses. So your single target characters were able to do a lot of damage here. I ended up bringing Leo, Shadow, and Hope and utterly destroying this poor tier. Mino, and yeah, the last 2 bosses were a complete joke because I just spammed Leo's abilities. So, and him and Shadow just tore him apart. Mino, what did you, Kreese, I don't think you're quite up to tier 10 yet. I don't know where you are in your entropy journey.
One of these days we'll get past tier 6. I actually did try tier 6 in the past week and then realized I need to rethink my strategy. So I will eventually get it done.
All right, no shame in that. And Mino, did you have a chance to do, I'm sure you did, tier 10, and what did you bring?
I followed my plan. It was Leo, Vayne, and Hope, and it was complete overkill. And now I don't know if I want to follow my plan anymore because it really just trivialized. I just did so much research on the optimal teams and pulls, and then I put it into action. And I was falling asleep during my run because it's just so optimized for it. But yeah, I think literally everyone just ran Leo and Vayne plus a third. And it could be like any third. I've seen people throw Barrett in there. I've seen people throw some old ass supports like Aiko and stuff. And they just did it fine. Leo and Vayne together can probably carry almost any support through.
Yeah, Riku's saying I used Aranea, Vayne, Porom, so Aranea's, some people are finally using her. I used Aranea on tier 9. Arolai is saying I used Shantoto, Beatrix, Hope, barely got the complete, so good job, Arrow. Yeah, Fran, Aranea, Hope, yeah, a lot of people using there. Macnell did the same as me, Leo, Shadow, Hope. I think Leo, Shadow was a good combo too, just like Leo, Vayne. I used Aranea, Vayne, and Beatrix on tier 9. And Leo, Shadow, and Hope on tier 10. So there is Mama Salty Gapchion is asking about the ultimate TCC challenge for Ultimate Chaos. We are for Ultimate Diabolos. We have not decided a TCC challenge, so please weight on that. We're not 100% sure because everybody's got synergy, makes it a lot more difficult. And,
This is a very easy fight.
and it's a fairly
too,
easy
so
fight. So
we're trying to think of easier or more interesting ways to make this an actual challenge rather than just banning a list of characters. We don't have anything finalized yet. This might be a little bit of a slower burn to get to something, but we're thinking about it. Macbill is pushing us to come up with an idea.
ban everyone.
No enchants, no imperils, and then melee only. Try that out, guys. Let me know how it goes. I think it can actually be done because this fight's such a fucking joke.
All right, yeah. So we'll try. Let me run a only melee team and see how that works without enchant and peril.
I'm gonna try that tonight.
We'll do
Leo,
Vayne, Leo. Who would be a good support?
Who's a melee support? There's got to be one, right?
Doesn't Penelo kind of do melee? Is it her attack melee?
There you go. There you go.
So, yeah, Squall solo. I'd like to see Squall solo something. That'd be good. Good for him.
Kate is a full melee.
Kate Sith would be full melee. Yeah. Even though the little toys they shoot at close range, so it counts as melee. Or they're just stabbing with the bayonets. I don't know what they're doing.
Josh is saying require Dessel, but even then, I think Dessel's fat ass his battery's based on HP damage done. Yeah, you throw a battery on him, I think he can get through it pretty easy too. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, Beatrix is melee. No, she's not. Yeah. Yeah, she works real well with lightning when she gets that imperil on her thunder. Yeah, that was real nice. Oh yeah, Iggy would be a good one. Ignis. So yeah, we'll figure it out. I want to try lightning, Bartz, and Iggy. Caius TCC challenge. Yeah, well, we'll see. Yeah, so if you're having trouble with Dimensions End Entropy, I think there's only so much we can talk about Dimensions End because the unique thing about Dimensions End is everyone's roster is different. Everyone, we're on tier 10, so there's 30. You have to have 30 characters to go this far who are built up, who are probably have EX weapons at least. So this is not for everybody. Not everybody's at the same point. So jump on Discord. Our friend Black Cloud did a good video about it. Tonberry Troupe has done some good guides on it. We got a lot of JP players who have experience with it too. So if you're you're struggling with it a little bit, there's people on our Discord who can help. So just jump on Discord and happy to help you there. And I think we can. I think you can probably do it, given a little bit of time. All right. So host discussion. Crease. Oh, we didn't do the podcast polls. Let me.
Oh shit! I forgot to add those.
Let me jump to the podcast polls, and if while I'm doing that, you want to look and see if there's any questions to talk about.
No. We got to do something else before questions.
Yeah. So, yes. Thank you. Podcast polls. Let me see. We had one person willing to pity the Aerith Wakka banner. One person willing to gem it. That was Rez. So. It sounded like maybe that didn't go very well. I haven't seen any videos yet. 27 ticket and 27 skip. A lot of people already have Aerith, of course. And oh man, poor Kuja Sabin banner. No one willing to pity. No one willing to use gems. 6 people willing to use tickets, and then 50 skipping that one. Of the people who got Wakka's realization, 12 keeping it EX, 7 realizing it, and 7 fully realizing it. And Aerith, of course, to be expected, 10 keeping it as an EX, 4 realizing, 1 investing 2 ingots. Interesting. I don't think I would suggest 2 ingots. I think once you go 2, you should go 3 for HP plus. 35 fully realizing it. So so I would keep her at 0 or 3 per specifically. So, we do want to talk, before we get into our host discussion, retrospective from last week, because we did get some new characters who we didn't have time to work with, and that was Noel's update and Caius. And I know Crease invested in Caius. I did not. I don't think Mino did. I don't have him, so I couldn't invest in him. I don't have either of the X's. I did spend some tickets, but didn't get him. Crease.
I have fully built Caius. I got his full kit from tickets last week during the podcast. He's fully realized. I have, as of a few days ago, he's fully boarded. I don't have his Diabolos boards done yet. Got decent artifacts for him, and in general, I wanted to share my thoughts with him. I have not had a chance to use him in a variety of chaos fights yet, so my experience is still relatively limited. Keep that in mind. I'm not working from a full purview of him in multiple applications, but I wanted to share what I've seen so far. First thing is, his debuffs are nice. You got to be careful about playing with him with other debuff characters, so you're not going to pair him with someone like Kefka. Probably are going to have trouble working with him with even a character like Vanille, because that's just too many debuffs already between 4 from Caius and 3 from Vanille. So keep that in mind. He doesn't play nice with other debuffers. And his own debuffs are nice. They're not super strong, but because they're framed, they're going to override other debuffs. So keep that in mind. Second thing, his Brave regen is amazing. He doesn't Brave Shave amazingly with his HP++, but because of his Brave regen, he's still dealing a decent amount of HP damage per turn on a single target. You cannot rely on him to be a consistent launcher. His EX just charges so slow, it's not worth considering that. So keep that in mind too. And one last thing. Shit, what was the last thing I wanted to mention? Oh yeah, his max HP is the lowest tier, which I hadn't really considered last week. And after playing around with it, I realized just how bad it was. I actually ran him in his own chaos before fully boarding him, and the low max HP was noticeable. Like, I actually had him get one shot at one point from one of the enemies just because his max HP was so bad. Once you get his passives from his summon boards up, his max HP is much more reasonable, but he's still on the very low end, so keep that in mind. If you're not running him with someone who raises party max HP, he is one of the most at risk of being hit and killed quickly, despite the fact he has massive HP regen self. So those are my thoughts on him. Mino, do you have anything you want to add on Caius because you didn't have a chance to say your piece last week?
No, I didn't do any research on Caius. Oh, I mean, I did the theory research. I didn't even touch his kit, though. I just have his 15 CP from the event. So I don't feel... and I think you guys did a pretty damn good job covering all his stuff last week, so I got nothing to add there.
The last thing I want to mention with Caius is that while he has decent AoE HP damage thanks to his second ability and his EX weapon, his Brave Shave for multiple targets is non-existent. You're going to need to bring someone who is either A, faster than him, so they can Brave Shave multiple targets at a time, or B, someone who can do AoE Brave Shaving, because if you cannot rely on him to Brave Shave multiple targets at a time, keep that in mind.
There's some conversation about bringing Porom to Dimensions End Entropy Tier 10, and she fits there pretty well as well. So
we cover the 10 fight? I know some people like us to.
We talked about it last week.
We did last week.
Briefly touched on it this week. Okay. Do you want to talk about it more, or do you want to talk about characters still?
No, I don't want to overdo it. As long as the information's out there, because I do know that some of our followers like us breaking down the entropy fights. I don't remember.
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
Yeah, so like it's good.
Yep. All right, Chris, is there any questions for the week from Host Discussion? You can always post your questions on Host Discussion on our Discord, and we try to get to them and share what our thoughts are about your questions. So thank you for all.
Before we talked about questions, I wanted to open it up to Mino and see if there were any characters from last week or past characters he wanted to bring up that we haven't had a chance to talk about recently. Again, I want to try to use this opportunity here to talk about characters we have. We have things to talk about, but they don't fit anywhere else in our show. So, Mino, I know last week you felt we did Yang dirty. Sorry.
Thank you.
I don't know if you want to bring that up, but I'll let you talk about Yang now if you want, or any other character if you want to.
I jumped into the post show, and we did have a Yang discussion in the post show, so that is there for anyone that's curious. I already forgot about all the things I hammered in, but I think the takeaway was basically that I think Yang is going to have a lot of uses. A lot of self-battery into 80% splash across like 66% of his kit means that he is a very defense and brave reduction resistant AoE DPS. And that's a big deal since Brave reduction is going to be a big thing moving forward. It's going to cut out a lot of viable DPS that are viable now. That's like the cutoff line, and Yang transitions very well with any attack booster or battery at all. Like his self batteries are great, and the splash is just amazing. And Leo synergy, Aranea synergy, etc., because it's all splash. That's it. And I think you wanted me to talk about Noel a bit too, and I just played around with a realized Noel, and I know he's supposedly going to fall off soon, but I just wanted to say I missed his playstyle. I did think he was one of the more fun characters when he released. I do still enjoy his kit. It's just workable at a chaos level now, but the danger is just the next 2 months we're going to be hit by insane power creeping characters, which is why all of the characters that released this month, we keep putting that disclaimer on there saying, these characters are good. Exdeath, great character. Aerith, Wakka, but amazing characters are coming right around the fucking corner.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, the problem is, do you feel like you want to invest in Yang or Noel, right, when, again, there's other characters coming out? Again, we're talking about ingot shortage, and are they the characters, whether they're good or bad, I mean, are they good enough to invest in?
How about this, Mark? I would invest in Yang and or Noel before I invest in Wakka.
Oh, yeah. I think that's fair.
Again, it's a priority for every person, and
That's
personally, I like Noel's kit. I like Yang's kit even more than I like Wakka's kit at the moment.
It's a cool kit. I gotta say, 35 only Yang, he has permanently joined my trash clearing team, because damn, he's decently fast, and even on hard mode of any story or event, he's killing all trash waves in one go.
Oh yeah, he clears out trash waves like nothing else.
I can only imagine with
if
the
I did
EX.
not have twins, I would be using him a lot more.
Right. He has the overflow, and that's the big, I don't know. But and just to bring up a small segue is people keep asking why I've stopped rating characters. It's because, again, we're hitting that plateau of difficulty. It's just not worth it anymore. Just assume everyone's viable at this point. Honestly, probably character ratings aren't going to come back. Well, I know Ink has been throwing around some ideas he wants us to try out on the podcast. I'll look into that in the future, but I don't see them coming back until Lufania, honestly.
All right, well, moving from character retrospective to host discussion. Kreese, were there any questions that you wanted to address today?
There is a question that Mino posted in the podcast question channel on the authority of someone else named Meow DFFOO for himself. Question for Mino: why did you purple Hope if you feel his kit is boring or feel he's not necessary currently? Were you hoping, pun intended, Hope would hit harder or have a bigger impact? Were you underwhelmed by him? I'm just surprised because your commentary on him wasn't as negative as one would think for regretting a 3-3 EX plus.
Shit. I had a response ready when I posted that, and I know I put it on the video because it was asked on one of our videos, and I'm looking for it right now. But I think to summarize, and I responded on the video. Hopefully he got it. But to summarize, it was just Hope has a lot of value as a character in the stupid word that hasn't been used in the community for over a year. Future-proof. I feel like Hope has a very future-proof kit because that set amount of damage reduction across the board is invaluable. And like I always say, I like when control is in the player's hands to be able to always mitigate by a set amount, no matter how high enemy stats get. And if he gets like a shitty LD, but it boosts his stats enough to keep up in the next era, it will always be very useful. So I invested because I think he has great utility, even if I'm underwhelmed at how he's performing currently. And I said on this episode earlier, he's already starting to win me over because of how fights are being designed coming up. He's already showing his worth.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Next question.
LaFarl asks a question that isn't game related, it's host related. Would the host like to share the origins of their screen names? I'll let Mark explain first because this is the simplest.
That is my name. My name on my birth certificate is Mark. So that is my in-game name, and also my name on the screen that you're looking at, and my name in Discord, because that is my name. So, yeah.
I don't spell good.
That's really all there is to it?
Yeah, that's it. I don't understand. What did people expect with this question? Chris, you're the only one with a cryptic name here. You got to give us a good story.
I actually do have a story related to my name, so it's not particularly long, but it is a little more interesting than Mark or Mino. So way back in the day when I first joined the internet, my first interactions were primarily for the purpose of joining RP boards, where the idea was you would RP characters and basically try to further a story by taking certain pieces at a time. And the second character I used for an RP board was named Crease. I don't remember how I came up with the name. It sounded cool to me at the time when I was like 14 years old or so. And slowly over time, I realized Crease was actually a nice name to use as an alias in places on the internet. It wasn't quite uh, a safe proof name because it's taken in many places, but if I'm fast enough on joining a system, for example, I was on Twitch when it was still Justin TV, and I joined Discord relatively early, I can get Crease. Otherwise, I use a different variant named Zerink, which has a different story associated with it, but that's not what this is about.
So which one came first, Crease or Zerink?
Oh, Crease came much earlier. Zerink came about much later. I think I came up with it about 10 years ago, and I came up with Crease when I was 14, so almost 20 years ago now. Oh, over 20 years, 21 years ago. Shit, I'm old.
Oh, okay. People are asking if there's another, like how I came up with Mino Spellgood. Well, it's like that approach where you self-deprecate, so it takes the sting out of other stuff. So basically, if my name is Mino Spellgood and I make typos in my arguments, because you know how on the internet people will be like, I can't even spell this and this or such and such, I'm gonna disregard your entire argument. So if I put my screen name as Mino Spellgood, then I can always say it was on purpose. Just like how a lot of people in our community don't know whether I'm actually ignorant on a subject or if I'm trolling. By playing it this way, I have plausible deniability in any case, and I can swing in any direction.
Yeah, so God of Cloud9 Crease is asking when Crease and Zerink are going to do their fusion dance and become a new being.
Never.
No fusion dance. No fusion dance. It's harder than it looks. That's all I have to say about the fusion dance.
We do have more questions. Do you want to continue?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Are there better questions?
Mufri's Law.
Okay. See, exactly. Josh is employing my tactic. He said, yes, Mufri's Law. And then Cher's calling him out on the misspelling. And he's like, yes, that was on purpose to, for the anecdote. And that's exactly why I think my screen name is the best screen name. No bias.
Okay. Here is a question from Squeegee. Once Cyan receives his rework in EX Plus, who will be the new worst character in the game?
Cyan, yeah.
No, I honestly don't know. I don't think he's a terrible character. It's just a funny answer. Who was voted the worst on EX Plus? Was it Fang? I think on all, again, just stupid Ultima ratings, but Deuce and Fang were rated the worst in the EX Plus era. I think. I don't think Stein will be terrible.
Deuce are down there. If you take the entire era of EX Plus, they were three of the earlier ones, and so yeah, they're kind of the lower tiers. So, yeah. No, he's not terrible on his realization, but compared to other people around being realized around him, yeah. Yeah, no, he's probably better than Machina, I would think, but we'll have to go back.
I'm sure you just pissed somebody off.
at
Probably
the time he gets
Cyan will be
introduced.
better than characters like Cell and Fang. Probably Fang is the worst character after Cyan gets his EX plus.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Fang. I love you, but you're so bad. Okay, LaFarl has another question. As an appreciation for the devs' continued improvements to the game, would you like to highlight any quality of life in the game of which new players are likely not aware were actually quality of life is not always part of the game?
Yeah. So go ahead.
I think I mentioned this before, but taking out the RNG and leveling up equipment. Again, I think I brought this up. If you used to put in orbs or weapons, you would have a bad result, a good result, or an excellent result. And so,
which is
leveling
real common.
gear
It's real common in gacha games to have something like
really.
that.
This is
common.
the first gacha game. Yeah. That I played
no,
that
it's very common. Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll always be my favorite quality of life. That's like the funniest thing because I tell new players that it used to be like that. Nobody believes it. Nobody believes.
Favorite quality of life from the first year of the game was it's a two-parter. It's moving upgrade materials out of the weapon list and making it so you are not capped at 30 only. Or I guess it was 20 originally and then became 30 later on.
Josh has a really good one.
I forgot about that.
Crystal strength level could only be increased one at a time. So you had to click through 50 times per character. I forgot about that.
Of course, the accept all button, Hate 13 is reminding us, before, for the raid events, having to click one at a time. Yeah, that's rough. So there have been a lot of quality of life. I think the dev team here in global and in Japan is constantly working on improving the game. The artifact system was a mess early. It's still not perfect. It's going on to perfection, perhaps. I hope they're continuing to find ways to make it better, but it's come a long way than what it was early on. And even reworks, right? I mean, of course, that's where the whole idea of cursed arts come from, where that was kind of an early attempt at trying to rework some characters, giving them artifacts that did things that reworks did. And then they decided to, of course, build the reworks in. And now we're going to move into another era where the limited weapons kind of have reworks built into them. So we're going to get less complete kit reworks and more kind of weapon reworks. So yeah, I think they're constantly working on ways to improve the game, and that's really appreciated. You can say, well, hey, why wasn't the game perfect when they launched? Well, it evolves and players play, and we share ideas, and you can go on.
Are not perfect.
Yeah, and people aren't perfect, but you can go on main cord, and there is a feedback channel on the main DFFOO Discord, which our friend Shara kind of admins. So they do read that. Joshua and Glacy do read that. So they bring those back to the devs too. So if you have good ideas about ways that the game could continue to improve, so yeah, feel free. Other questions?
Let's do some quick ones before we get to this maybe bigger one. Talut asks, do the hosts have poll rituals associated with their polling behavior? I personally have 0 poll rituals. Like, I just click through things as fast as possible.
I think he also mentioned like pull habits too. So for mine, I'm gonna say I ticket every banner until I hit a gold. Every banner. That I used to shotgun pull like crazy. Now it's ticket until I get the first gold. Gotten unexpected EXs like that, like Kimari's, and sometimes just a power stone off of 2 tickets or something. So that's worked out for me. That's my 13 ticket challenge, except sometimes it goes to like 60 tickets or something.
I don't pull. That's my ritual. So you don't pull, you don't have to know. Usually I'm usually in bed by this point in time where we are live. It's 9:30 p.m. my time. And so, I mean, by 9:30, I'm usually in bed because I get up at 5:30 every morning.
9:50 p.m.?
Yeah, it's 9:50 p.m. currently. Yes. I'm usually in bed before this time right now.
Oh, okay.
So, so usually when the event comes live at 9 p.m. my time, yeah, I'm usually in bed kind of making sure everybody's asleep and just kind of tuning off. So, yeah, usually I'm in bed making ticket polls or doing other polls. Yeah, that's why I don't stream them. Yeah, when you get up at 5:30 every morning, yeah, you got to go to bed early. That's for sure. Yeah. Next question.
Okay, Shara wants to know what every host's least favorite Final Fantasy title is. And he also wants to know why it's Final Fantasy Tactics, apparently.
My least favorite is Shara's on, right? My least favorite Final Fantasy game is Final Fantasy Type 0. No, I'm joking. I haven't even played Type 0, so I can't say it's my least favorite. I'm not a huge fan of 3. Japan's 3. 2 and 3 are, I mean, they're fine. I like all of them. I actually like every single game in the title, but 2 and 3 kind of are, you know, we didn't have them here in the United States when they launched originally, and I played, of course, Final Fantasy 1 on Nintendo when it came out, and you know, same for some of the older games. So you know, so I played them kind of retrospectively, and you know, I love Final Fantasy 4 so much, and you know, 5 I even kind of like a little bit more, and then of course the later ones a lot. So yeah, 2 and 3 never really did it for me, and I hate Furion. His head thing drives me crazy. But anyway, no, I'm joking. Just to see if Arrow was still on. But I have not played the multiplayer games, so they're the ones that I have the least connection to, 11 and 14. But I like all the other main titles. I even like Dirge's Cerberus.
Wow, we're getting a lot of hate mail. My least favorite FFs are 7 and 8. I've argued this on the Discord a million times, and I still stand by this argument. I don't think anyone's proven me wrong yet, which is basically the PlayStation FFs aged the worst as time goes on, with the load times and the polygonal graphics. Like, oh yeah, my test has always been, you try to introduce any non-FF fan or any non-lifelong RPG fan or any young kid to the series, and they can pick up the old games no problem. They're short, they're simple, the sprites, you know, the 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit graphics, they age well, they're cartoony, the animations are all nice. They're going to be entertained, they're going to play through the game. You give them the new ones with all the like movie qualities and story, you know, like the more modern gameplay and the very anime drama, you know, they'll play that to the end too. Like, a lot of games I recommend to people with zero interest in FF are 6 and 10, and they usually grab interest right away. They're great. Every time I've seen 7 and 8 introduced to somebody who's like 20 years old right now or younger, they lose interest so fucking fast, because 7 and 8 has the most generic characters in terms of gameplay. Like Kreese likes to remind me constantly, FF7 is the only difference between the characters are the limit breaks, and you don't see them very often. Same with FF8. Otherwise, they're copy-paste the materia or the draw or the junction system, and you're just getting different graphics characters. The load times are atrocious. The story and translations are very rough to today's standards. A lot of it, I think, people go back for nostalgia, which is fine. But I know they don't hold up, because if you introduce it to any like teenager or preteen, they will fucking hate it. and as Arrow likes to point out, the main characters are kind of joyless. They like to go for the grimdark, bleak setting. Like 6 and before, kids will eat that shit up. 9 and up, kids will eat that shit up. 7 and 8 feels like nostalgia quality only. If you guys introduce these games to your 10-year-old relatives and they like 7 and 8 and they can play, they have the attention span to play all the way through, prove me wrong. But I've issued this challenge many times, and many people end up saying, yeah, it's only old people who grew up with it that still like them.
Yeah, 7 is
don't
hard.
Your kids like Final Fantasy 7?
Oh, my kids love Final Fantasy 7.
7 remake or 7?
Oh,
can they play through 7 original?
No, they can't play they're not at a point where they can play any Final Fantasy game. They just like the characters from Final Fantasy 7.
That's a little different.
No, 7's hard for me to play. It's the only game that I have played that I have trouble playing again in its original form because of the graphics. I love 8, and I've played 8 before the remaster. I've played 8 3 or 4 times. 8 is my favorite game in the series. So you're wrong, and I hate you. But
a lot of people in chat are saying Shaded Mystic 7 and 8 are bad starting points. Several other people are saying, yeah, you can't introduce people to the series of 7 and 8. Well, that's why in my book they're the worst. They just do not age well. Period.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know, there is a remaster of 8 and there's a remake of 7, and so I think there's a reason for that. The one port of Final Fantasy VI is atrocious. I don't care, you know, the sprites and the iOS port and the Android port for Final Fantasy VI is terrible.
Terrible.
But you know, with Minecraft and with a lot of the kind of 8-bit graphics, I mean, although original Final Fantasy is not super fun to play.
I still replay it a lot, honestly.
I don't know if a kid is. I mean, the way the games are developed, I don't know if a kid is picking up Final Fantasy 1 and playing it like they do. I mean, I know the kind of games my kids play, and you know, I'm not sure that they're picking it up, but we'll see. Kreese, did you answer?
I guess I have the truly divisive opinion here of saying my least favorite Final Fantasy that I've played a decent amount. And I'm going to stipulate that this is Final Fantasy games that I've played a decent amount of, like played either the whole way through or almost to the end. Final Fantasy IV is my least favorite.
Interesting.
Speedy Ultra is saying I started
the SNES version. I've played the DS version. I've played the PSP version. I just don't really like Final Fantasy IV too much for all the same reasons I think Mino didn't like Final Fantasy VII Remake too, honestly. You have fixed parties. You don't have any control over who you bring at any point. You have to deal with fights the way they tell you to deal with them. Final Fantasy IV was the last game in the Final Fantasy series where you were locked to a certain team and had to do it that way no matter what.
Speedy Ultra saying I started 7 as a teenager, first FF. Yeah, I played FF7 as a teenager too. But my point is
in 1997.
That we liked it. Yeah, we liked it because what was the competition? But like, if you introduce a kid to today where they have much better games to play, I really, really doubt they'd stick with it. Because like they're like, I could be playing this, or I could be playing like God of War. You know, like it's not even close. Back then we didn't know better. We didn't have anything. It's like, you know, I used to like eating cup of noodles, and then I learned how to enjoy food. So, you know, like it's a big difference.
and now I eat rabbit food. So that's how it goes. Yeah, you know, I think if you're talking starting point, I mean, and they're so, you know, the problem with Final Fantasy, and the good thing about Final Fantasy is they're all different besides, you know, the first 6 really. You know, and even among them they all have their differences, you know, but they're so drastically different, and now in the last 10 years have been completely different. So yeah, what do you I wouldn't even know what to introduce besides the newest game, right? But yeah, I think 10 kind of hits on all the. I think 10 hits on kind of all the all of the good things. I think 10 really kind of hit the stride of the series in terms of it. It just kind of got everything right.
10's combat ages very well. Like, I mean, come on, we're all obsessed with this game that took 10's combat. Like that was turn-based
FF10, and it always has been. Is the mid? I hate the mid game because characters scale poorly in some aspects where they shouldn't scale poorly, speed being one of the biggest issues with some characters.
Just like this game.
And also status effects stop mattering. Like Wakka and Auron lose their strengths because every boss becomes immune to every debuff at about the midpoint in the game.
I want to point out, because everyone in chat is echoing that they love 10. 10, remember that giant FF poll Japan did? 10 was voted best Final Fantasy. And from my experience, 10 is the perfect mix, like Mark said. Old school fans love 10, new school fans love 10. 10 had everything as the perfect meeting point. It might not be everyone's favorite FF, but everyone can agree it was a good FF.
Yeah,
Gameplay.
Final Fantasy X was very well designed. I just think they leaned a little too hard in a couple aspects.
Even people who
it really impacted the mid game. It didn't really affect the late game. It didn't affect the early game. It was the mid game that felt the worst because of that.
Yeah. And I was going to say, even people who hate the story and hate the characters, they're wrong, by the way, still will admit that 10 had solid mechanics all the way through.
All right. Well, moving on.
Do we have time for one last question?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, Final ASIM asks one last question for us for this week. What character do you think has a base kit so bad that no matter how many reworks or EX Plus or whatever else happens, they will remain bad? In terms of Mino's rating week, we'll just leave it to one character per host. So, Mino, do you have any thoughts on this?
I think it's impossible that any character is beyond a remake. We've seen such drastic changes in a lot of shit characters like Yuna or even Hope or even like Saz. Like, these are like garbage based kits. Saz is like, here's aim. I think it was like 120% potency. So it was barely better than a Brave attack. And then here's an attack boost you can give one other person. And look how much he's transformed then. Yuna's EX, Yuna and Hope literally get rid of their like kit and changes it completely. You still have access to the old skills, but they're the skills that you use the least. It's just, no one's beyond a remake, I think. Everyone can be completely redone from the ground up.
Does Ashe have a LD yet?
Nope.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see what her LD does to her kit, because I think I expressed my dislike of her kit pretty significantly. And Wakka too. I think we talked about Wakka tonight. So,
but he's fixable. You make some of his things guaranteed, and all of a sudden he doesn't suck so much.
Yeah, no, I agree with Mina. I think anybody could be fixed, right? But some are going to be.
I think right now the character who is the least fixable is Vivi, just because he has so much going against him. His kit is very simple. Yeah. Like, it is Yang or Edge simple in many aspects. The fact that he has, or Tifa simple in the fact that he has a buff ability and then he does damage. That's it. And he's stuck with cursed artifacts right now, which the devs do not like working around. They have to accommodate for those cursed artifacts at all points, which means he is burdened by those, and he'll never get over that fact. That is my issue with Vivi. I think he will never be in a good spot because of that. He'll be the weakest character because of that in many instances.
Sorry about that, Chris. I wanted to bring up that, like, unless there's some programming thing that a programming complication I don't know about, I don't understand why cursed artifacts are so hard to remove. Before, DFFOO devs always went with, if it's in the game, we'll work around it. They did that for a lot of things like Fang's AA and Realm's free turns. They didn't work as intended. All future characters were, they're like, okay, well, Realm, her free turn works with summons and friend unit, so let's make all future units not do it. And then, of course, people are like, oh, well, they brought it back with Eldnarsh. Eldnarsh was like a year and a half later. Come on, guys. Like, clearly, they didn't want free turns to work like that. Fang AA, they even admitted, they're like, it was supposed to increase launch HP damage, not all HP damage, but whatever, it favors the player, so we're going to keep it in, make it officially part of the kit. Now in JP, looking forward, they're rolling back a lot of things that are broken that benefited the player. Like, we talked about Lightning's bug. Desh gets a bug coming up. Gabranth was nerfed because it was felt broken. Like, they're rolling out nerfs a lot more frequently in JP. So clearly they can reverse some of the coding they did. They can take things out. So the question is, why can't they do the same with cursed artifacts? Take that out and completely put in a new rework. I believe it's possible, unless, again, there's some programming complication.
I think if you remove the cursed artifacts, you're at risk of upsetting the people who spent a lot of time grinding those.
Honestly, I would be happy if they just tossed the cursed artifacts and said, sorry, because of a programming problem, you have to refarm artifacts. I would be happy with that, because it means their base kits are better. And it means I can focus on specific artifacts that are easier to farm than they were when the cursed artifacts were in there.
Yeah. Well, if they redo the whole artifact system, that would be fine with me too.
I feel like keeping the curse artifacts for literally just 6 characters, that eats up a lot of design space. Like, they have to constantly tiptoe around that. They're like, oh, we can't give this character too good of a rework, too good of an LD, too good of an upgrade, because we always have to account for curse. That kills design space and creativity. I think it would benefit more in the long run if they got rid of that instead of treating 6 characters differently every fucking time a new tier of power comes around.
So we're all agreeing.
I was going to mention Vivi gets one of the worst EX plus weapons because of his cursed artifact status and the fact that his base kit is so basic already that they didn't have a lot of room to work around it.
All right. Hey, well, thank you all for your questions. We are more than happy to talk about them, so go to our Discord and check that out. Looking ahead, we have Sinks LC, Sincere Strength, which also features Snow's Realization and EX Weapon on the 17th. Jack's event, The Power of Ignorance, which also features Ramza. Jack is from Final Fantasy Type 0, Ramza from Final Fantasy Tactics, and hopefully the next Squex community stream will be on Monday the 25th, at least our time. So thanks everybody for being here. It's always great to have a good crowd. You can check out our apparel, our website, tccpodcast.com. You can join our Discord, Facebook, Twitter at fftccpodcast.com. Or at FFTCC Podcast, YouTube. Check out the Crystal Chronicles on YouTube. Check out our friends, the Tonberry Troupe. Their website is tonberrytroupe.com for all those beautiful infographics and so much more. And Macnol's from Macnol's Called Arms, his website, decidiainfo.com. Thank you to our crew, Chris, Mino, and myself. Thank you to our mod team, Arrow, Inkwelder, J.A, Jin Lee, Macnol, Quetz, Shara, and Strafe. Thank you to our design team, Dreamy, Jin Lee, and Hate13. And, of course, to our founder, Pierre. Until next week, this has been episode 102 of the Crystal Chronicles. And best of luck to all of you. Good grinding, and we'll see you later. Goodbye.